Dolores Huerta, I think, said it best. He said, "Why do poor people love the Kennedys?" She said, "Because they come to us and don't tell us what to do. They ask us how they can help." And that's exactly what Bob Kennedy did.
There was a period there that people were keeping their distance from my father and the strike. And Bobby Kennedy came in, he picked up a picket sign, and he said, "I stand with farm workers and I support what they're doing." And I think that my father was always grateful for that show of solidarity.
We were in the midst of the grape strike. It was decided to hold a hearing and invite Robert F. Kennedy to come to that hearing and to preside over it.
The growers had packed the whole auditorium. And so Bob Kennedy said, "I want this place cleared. Half goes to the growers, half to the farm workers." So Kennedy began to show on which side he was on.
Kennedy was doing the questioning to the sheriff, at that time, sheriff of Kern County.
What do you charge them with?
Violating unlawful assembly.
And so Bob Kennedy kept hammering about arresting nonviolent, peaceful pickets.
Who told you that they're going to riot?
The men right out in the field that they were talking to said, "If you don't get them out of here, we're going to cut their hearts out." So rather than let them get cut, you remove the cause.
And so Bob says, "So they're threatening to kill the pickets, and you arrest the pickets. Yeah, we got to get them out of there because they're the problem."
How can you go arrest somebody if they haven't violated the law?
They're ready to violate the law. In other words,
Could I suggest in the interim period of time, in the luncheon period of time, that the sheriff and the district attorney read the Constitution of the United States?
They just loved that kind of confrontation that Bob was willing to do.
When he got up there and he challenged them on that, you know, it was the first time that many people had seen another elected official stand up for the right things, and so it created a tremendous amount of energy.
And I think that's mainly what Bob was all about. He knew he came from a very advantaged, powerful, wealthy family, but he also knew the problems of poor people, and he felt that his life ought to be devoted to doing something about those disadvantages, and he did.
We're going to try to improve not just your lives, but more importantly, the lives of your children.
And you could just hear going down this beautiful day, Bob Kennedy walking the picket lines, shaking hands, and just being there. And you could hear farm workers saying, you know, "Viva Kennedy, Kennedy for Presidente."
Robert Kennedy realized at that time that Cesar was extremely genuine in what he was trying to do.
Then when Cesar and Bob met, they probably spoke less than 10 words to one another. Both very quiet, but you could tell something was happening between these two guys. They knew what each was about.
Then later on, when he declared that he was going to run for president of the United States, we were there. People saw Robert Kennedy as someone that really believed in our cause, really believed in what we were doing, really believed in the dignity of every human being, and consequently was ready to take positions that would support the needs that we have.
And that's always what Chavez wanted. The struggle has to be out there in front of the public.
Robert Kennedy came and joined Cesar in the mass that was held when Cesar broke the fast.
Well, he made a special trip out for that, and some of his staff people told me later, they asked him why he was doing this. It's because I love Cesar Chavez. He's doing the work that has to be done.
And I remember that when he came, I remember there was a lot of enthusiasm, and many people felt that you know, they were in the presence of royalty.
Bobby Kennedy came. We were at the park in Delano in that place. There were so many people there.
He was part of something that was bigger, and I think it was something that many immigrants, and especially farm workers, really respected.
These guys knew each other and understood each other through their own emotional selves.
I think that the courage we saw demonstrated by Bobby Kennedy wasn't something that was particular to Bobby Kennedy. I think it's a trait that his whole family shares.
After Cesar did that fast, A week later, he started to go on the campaign trail for Bobby. He didn't take time to recuperate. Cesar became very ill.
He's in such bad shape, he's not going to recover from this. And without him, there's going to be a very serious problem in keeping the union going. He had been in bed, I think, 9 months at that point.
We called Ted Kennedy. He sent John Kennedy's doctor out.
She spent a couple of days with him. He was on his way to recovery at that point, and the recovery of the union.
Cesar had a lot of respect for him. And when they said that he had died, Cesar was really upset. It really, really hurt him. Because he was a down-to-earth person that cared for people. He cared for the poor.
I just remember my dad being very heartbroken. He was very sad. He'd lost a friend.
There was an injunction that was placed against the union. Cesar decided that there was no way that we could observe that injunction. So as a result, he broke it and was taken to jail.
I remember Ethel Kennedy. She came out to demonstrate support.
Met her at the Salinas airport. We went into the march, but there were some counter pickets with Kennedy Go Home, Remember Chappaquiddick. There was a big growers demonstration there in front of the jail, and we were supposed to go down the side of the jail into the side door to see Chavez after the rally. So we gathered the biggest farm workers and just surrounded Ethel, and sure enough, they attacked us, spitting at us, screaming at us, trying to hit Ethel with their picket signs and so forth.
She basically had to walk through a gauntlet.
She was so committed to what we were doing, as the Kennedy family has always been, that she decided to come there personally, knowing that it would really be a risk on her own life.
But she came anyways, and I think that shows their level of commitment.
When again Cesar fasted in Arizona, one of Robert Kennedy's sons, Joseph Kennedy, came to join